What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Large Data Bank. It's great to see you. I've had a little bit of an absence, as you probably have noticed if you're a avid Large Data Bank fan. I've been gone for a couple weeks. And why is that? Why is that? You might be asking yourself, why has this beautiful long-haired man been absent from your screen for 2 entire weeks? The answer, my friends, is that I was skiing. I took a vacation. I went to Colorado. I flew to Denver. I drove out I-70 into the deep, snowy, cold, high-altitude mountains of Colorado into a little town called Breckenridge, Colorado, in which I rented myself and my friends an Airbnb. And I stayed there and I skied. I skied, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and NBs. I skied for 12 days. It was amazing. Hit them slopes. I hit those trees. I hit those moguls. You know what I mean? I hit the POW. I shredded the gnar. It was a great time. I feel refreshed. I didn't think about work. I did think about streaming a little bit. I actually tried to stream a ski run. It didn't work at all. It sort of said on my phone. My phone was like, you've got 5G right now. And I thought to myself, if I've got 5G, maybe I can stream from my phone while I'm skiing. And it didn't work even a little bit. So I did try, but I didn't succeed. But that's all right. But it was a wonderful time, you guys. It was really nice to go on a longer vacation. I haven't been on a 2-weeker in several years. I haven't been on a plane even since the beginning of the pandemic until now, so that was kind of cool. Got on a plane. Let me tell you, it was just about as normal as you could possibly expect. It was pretty normal, but it was exciting anyway. So that's kind of what I did. It was a good time. How are you guys? It's good to see everybody. Missed you all. Hello to Mahendra, Safe Dallas, Microbic, Uknes, and Null Bitmap. Thank you so much for the incredible 21 months of support. You're just coming up around the 2-year mark. I guess we'll need to do some kind of retrospective 2 years of streaming blog post at some point, but I'm going to put that one on the back burner for 3 more months. But thank you again for the support. I definitely appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in as well. Am I an experienced skier? Especially after this trip, I would say yes. I think before this trip, I would say like kind of. If you do like about 12 days of skiing in a row, like you're gonna get better pretty quick. That's what I learned. It was very satisfying, I have to admit. It felt really good to concentrate on it, think about it, do it every day for a couple weeks. That was really, really fun. Yeah, I don't know, maybe one day I'll become an itinerant streaming programming ski bum. Maybe. Probably not. I do dream about it. My girlfriend says, don't talk about that because it's going to tarnish your personal brand. I'm not so sure about that. I feel like it might enhance my personal brand. I couldn't really tell you, but it's definitely on my mind a little bit. Yeah. So, I don't know. Did I annihilate my knees? No. The knees did not. The knees were unannihilated. They stayed pretty happy, although my legs got tired, but I feel like that's to be expected. What else? I don't know. It got back and there was that big snowstorm in New York. Maybe you guys heard about it. Maybe not. If you're not around the East Coast, maybe you didn't hear about it, but big old snowstorm. I was gonna fly back on a Saturday, but guess what? The flight was canceled. So what did I do? I stayed an extra day and skied an extra day at Vail, which was really cool. I don't know if you guys have been to Vail. Vail has this reputation of like, oh, it's bougie and expensive and for bougie people. And I was sort of expecting that it would be a little bit too much of that, because I'm not into that. But actually, what it was incredible terrain. So I think it has that reputation because the terrain is just fantastic. There's just these wide open bowls, big slopes, not so many people, sunny, not too alpine, not windy. It was fantastic. So it was really cool. I want to go back there for a longer time at some point. That's a goal of mine. You joined the query optimizer team at one of our major competitors. Not sure if you're allowed to watch the streams anymore. Look, I mean, what are you gonna say? It's an open source database. One of my, you know, I think that competitors are competitors, but the truth is that like, there's a lot of cool database technology to go around, and I wish that people did. I wish there was a bit more of like database building camaraderie. You know, like they have a bunch of that. There's conferences, right? But I feel like we could do more of it. One thing that I'm excited about right now, thinking about testing, right, is they've you know, Manual Rigger, a homie of database testing in general. I think he's chairing something called the DB Test Conference, or it's like a sub-conference of Sigmod this year. And it seems like a cool thing, right? Like the more database testing that we do as an industry, the better our world will be to some extent, right? You don't really want to have database bugs and correctness issues, because that could affect any old thing, whether it's a competitor or not. So I kind of like that. I'm thinking about maybe pulling together a talk for DB Test, or somebody on the team, maybe asking them to do it. We'll see. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. Everyone's got to have the quit my job and become a ski bum moment. Definitely true. Hack the DB on the slopes, but the gloves might make that hard. I don't know if you guys, there's this video of somebody who strapped a laptop to the front of their chest and strapped a green screen to the back of their head, got onto the slopes, started typing, and like joined a Zoom call. And the Zoom call's background was like an office. I think everybody must have been on the joke, but it was pretty funny. He was like just chatting. He like goes off a jump, like has a problem or something like that. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, say the word in your band. Jackdaw, you're not gonna, I assume you're not gonna out yourself. Which company did you join, Jackdaw? Tell me, what is it? Just kidding. But also I'm curious. But also I'm just kidding. Anyway, what did you guys all get up to in the last couple weeks? Tell me about it. I'm probably, what happens? Like you get back, your friend gets back from a ski trip. They're talking way too much about the ski trip. You're like, shut up, dude. We know it. You went skiing. That's kind of how I feel. I'm on the other side. I'm like oversaturating people talking about how great the ski vacation was. So I'm trying to chill out about it. But to be honest, that is kind of what I was doing for the last 2 weeks. What am I going to do? What did you guys do? What's happening? Do you have any good work projects? Anything you're excited about? Anything you're terrified about? Anything that's going well or poorly? Something that's bothering me right now is that my door is open in the background, so I'm just going to quickly fix that. Just give me a sec. All right, the door is closed. Things are better. I'm feeling less anxious. Connected to CockroachDB serverless from Fly.io and saw the question on Stack Overflow. You have a stronger consistency because of hardware. Ah, so you joined Google. You joined Google and you're working on Spanner, maybe. That's cool. There's all sorts of stuff about clocks, you know. I don't know enough about clocks, to be honest. But I think there's things happening in the world of clocks. Chopstick Wizard, what's up? Personal finance app. That is cool. I feel like there's always could be more of those. I feel like that's a good one to start off with. People are always asking, what's a good project to do to start off with? And it's like anything that helps you. Anything that you need in your life could be a good target. So I like that. Personal finance. Everybody's got to do a little bit of that. So what are we going to do today, you guys? I have an idea. It wasn't exactly my idea, but I've been thinking about it. So as you know, one thing we've been doing on the stream is TLP stuff. I was tweeting about TLP a little bit. I thought it was a pretty good thread. If you guys aren't following me on Twitter, check it out. You're going to learn something. No, but I talked a little bit about TLP. TLP is this ternary logic partitioning thing. It's, in fact, created by the guy I was talking about, Manuel, who's the chair of DB test. And it's a randomized testing technique that says, I'm going to take a query, and I'm going to partition the query 3 ways by a predicate. And it's 3 in SQL because a predicate can evaluate not just to true and false, but also to null. And we union all the partitions of the predicate together, or we union all of the partitions of the query together. And if they're not exactly equal to the original unpartitioned query, you know you have to have a bug, like somebody's evaluating the predicate wrong or the filter wrong. And I think that's really cool stuff. You know, I've been working on that a little bit on the stream. The last thing that we did on that was this enhanced TLP to test predicate projections and distincts. I guess we did this in December, but I finally got it merged. It's exciting. And I was kind of tweeting about it. Oh, hey, Lisa, what's up? Nice to see you as well. I was tweeting about it, and Manuel was reminding me about this no-rec thing. This no-rec thing is, the idea of no-rec is that it's where you take a query and you run it through a optimizing database, right? Because all databases are sort of optimizing, so to speak. And then you also run it through a database that is a non-optimizing database, whatever that means. And then if you find a difference, it means that something went wrong somewhere, probably in the optimizing side. But of course, one of the problems of that is that there isn't really such thing as a non-optimizing database. And in most databases, you can't actually turn off the optimizer, because what would that really even mean? So the idea with no-rec, I think, I haven't really totally digested no-rec, but I think the idea of no-rec is that instead of trying to build another database engine that doesn't optimize, which would be a fairly tall order, as we know, when we construct database engines, it takes a lot of effort. But yeah, instead of doing that, what you do is you think of ways to create an identical query that can't be optimized as well. Something like that. So maybe that's using index hints to turn off the indexes, or maybe it's sticking bits in there that can't be used, can't be indexed, can't be sarged, etc. I think that's the idea of no-rec, but what's kind of interesting is that in Cockroach, you know, the way that the optimizer works, and many optimizers kind of work like this, is that we have costs associated with each of the operators, and we build this giant forest of potential query plans that are identical, except they use different operators inside. And then we cost all of the operators using something called a coster to try to figure out which is expensive and which is cheap. And then we pick the cheapest plan, right? That's what a cost-based optimizer is about. And so somebody had the good idea of like, well, what if we just said to the coster, like, hey, actually, instead of giving me real costs, why don't you give me fake costs? And what would be the point of that? The point would kind of just be to give me plans that are equivalent but might not be efficient, right? And then let's say I have a bunch of plans that are equivalent but might not be efficient. If I run all of those plans and those are not identical, the output of those plans, then you have an actual other kind of bug, which is sort of interesting in the sense that, yeah, it's like the optimizer, something about something is going wrong. Like maybe the optimizer is producing plans that aren't identical, or the execution engine is buggy on one of these particular paths, maybe optimized, maybe not. And so to me, it's sort of interesting because it's like, this is a more realistic form in a sense of no-rec, because it's sort of like, instead of saying just, okay, well, give me optimized query and give me non-optimized query, it's sort of like, give me optimized query and give me like other thing. Maybe it's little less optimized. Maybe it's like extremely unoptimal. It's kind of just like using a random access method to get the same results, which I think is like, it could be hugely powerful. And I think it might be fairly simple to implement. So I'm going to try to hack on this today. And the results I'm expecting, I'm kind of expecting that we won't find any bugs in the database. I'm hoping that, I'm sort of, you know, it's always funny when you're doing randomized testing. Like on the one hand, you hope that the database doesn't have bugs, or the system under test doesn't have bugs, because like you don't want your system under test to have bugs. But at the other hand, it's like, well, hopefully I do find a bug because that would like validate the method. So I don't know what I'll find exactly, but it definitely should be interesting. And that's kind of what we're gonna do. So do people have questions on that or anything like that? I'm happy to talk about it more, and I will as I'm working on the thing. But if people have other questions, I will answer them. I love finding bugs because it asserts my dominance. Yeah, I think like most things in life are actually secretly a power struggle. And bug finding, that's one of the most powerful things you can do, my guy. That's high status. Finding bugs is high status. In a certain sense, like, yeah. I don't know what to say about that. Calendly. So let's say like, yeah. What if you gave people like, instead of giving people a Calendly, you gave them like, I don't know. This joke is going nowhere. This joke is going nowhere. Okay. Right. Good effort. Well, thanks. Thanks, buddy. That's a high status thing to say as well. Good effort when nobody really made a good effort to do anything at all. Anyway, Matt Lair, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everybody into the stream. I hope you had a good rest of stream. I hopped in a little bit earlier. It seemed like you guys were doing some good stuff. But I hope you had a good stream. I hope you had a good return to Twitch and a good Friday. Folks on Matt's stream aren't familiar with my stream. I'm Jordan. I work on CockroachDB databasey stuff on the stream. I stream most Fridays. I like to chat. Ask me questions about databases. I'm Jordan AMA. Dude, did you just double raid me? You gave me a raid of 11, then you gave me a raid of 1. I don't know what it means. Traveled through a VSOC and landed in the DB. Okay, so anyway, let me get into it. Yeah.
Databases don't scale because they use joins, and write to div.
Thank you for the 21 months. You've managed to trigger 3 different alerts, which I think is like a world record. So thank you for that. Oh, you canceled. I didn't know that you could cancel a raid. So that's we're all learning something today. Twitch is really it's the ultimate streaming platform. You know, it's good, it's not buggy, and it's good. That's my thought on Twitch on the whole. So I'll just quickly recap what we're up to for Matt's viewers. We are working on a randomized test mode for CockroachDB that runs a random query, and then it randomizes the costs of our cost-based optimizer, so that the second time that you run the query, the plan that's generated will be a random equivalent but weird plan. And the hope is that by applying that methodology to our other suite of randomized query generator tests, we'll hopefully find some bugs in either the optimizer or the execution engine, which would be a great thing. We're always looking for novel ways to find bugs, so that's kind of the plan. And so we haven't really gotten into coding anything yet, but that's sort of what we're doing. So basically, how is this going to work? Luckily for me, there's already a thing that does this a little bit that we sort of maybe use in some tests, but it doesn't really seem like many people use it, called optimizer cost perturbation. And I was actually curious to learn how this actually worked because I don't actually really know. But it looks like we have these things called testing knobs, which are just sort of injectable things that'll change the behavior of stuff at test time. So it looks like you can set this to be a float. And once you set it to the float, we send it into our coster at init. And we pass in this perturbation. And then once we have this perturbation in the coster, so the way the coster works is that we basically, this is a good thing. It's always good when you see in a code place somebody that was like, to do somebody, make this more sophisticated. And then that's been there for like 3 years. So that's always a good sign. I love that. Anyway, so I think the way the coster works though is basically that every operator knows how to cost itself, or the coster knows how to cost every operator depending on different factors. So for example, here's the code to cost a scan, which is, you know, where we read data from disk, and here's the code to cost a values clause, which is where you just sort of pass in some values into a thing to compare, a hash join cost, an inverted filter cost. So that's kind of the way the coster works at a very high level. And I guess what the perturbation does, I bet it's very simple. I bet we have this thing in there, and if it's non-zero, we just multiply every cost by the perturbation. So here is something called compute cost. So this is the sort of top level coster method, and it basically just says at the end, once it's finished actually doing the cost and adding some CPU cost factors and stuff like that, we just literally multiply the cost by the multiplier. We make sure that it's greater than 0. And the perturbation, I guess, has to be positive. Get a random value in the range -1 to 1. Multiply it by the... Why would we want it to be negative, though? Cost equals cost times perturbation times multiplier. Oh, cost plus equals cost times. Okay. So we're scaling this perturbation by the cost itself. So it can be, the new cost is in the range max of 0, C minus PC, C plus PC. Okay, well, I think that makes sense. I think what's a little bit confusing about all this is that we don't ever use it, but we're about to, so that's gonna be great. So I think all I really want to do here is basically plumb in a setting. So one thing about these randomized tests is that we tend to kind of use them in this mode where we actually run a server. We run a server and then we run a lot of queries using we kind of run it as a workload, in other words. It's not like an in-memory thing. Which is sort of good, sort of bad, but it is sort of what it is. So I think in order to like make this stuff all propagate through, I would actually need to add something that you can control from a session. And the way that we do that in Cockroach is to add like a session variable. So basically what I think I need to do is actually, make a session setting for this. So I'll do that. And so this all gets done at, oh right. So it's actually part of the eval context, which I think is one of the easiest places to change from a session setting. So I think there's something called vars.go. And I guess it's a little weird. I don't know if we have precedent for like a really testing only var. Oh, I guess we do. Testing, vectorize, inject, panics. That sounds like a pretty good one to mock or to model ourselves off of. So we're going to make it something called a testing optimizer perturb costs. And so we're going to perturb costs, and we can, I guess, tell people that they can actually even set the amount of perturbation, which is a little weird, but we might as well, I guess, since we can do it. And how does this work exactly? We can get string val. we supposed to... I'm not exactly sure what of this interface, this like pseudo interface thing I actually have to implement. I'll just implement get and set for now and see what that does. So get is going to return to me, I have an eval context, which is great because that's exactly the thing I already want to be modifying. I'll just actually copy this entire thing here. I don't know about this get string val. I guess this really needs to be parse bool var parses a bool. I think I need to be parsing a float var, so I'm hoping we have one of those, which we do not. Do we have any float? Format float as Postgres setting. So large full scan rows. Whatever this does, it is in fact a float setting. So let's actually go ahead and copy this float setting then. We'll copy a different one. We'll copy this float setting. And we're gonna call it the same thing. So testing, optimizer, perturb costs. We're gonna parse our float when we're on the set side. Then we're going to, oh yeah, there's this session data mutator business. The object used by session virus to change the session state. It mostly mutates the session data, not exclusively. So I guess maybe I'm not allowed to just poke into the extended eval context or whatever. So this thing has what? This thing has a data, session data. Maybe it has a local only stuff, right? I really just want to copy that vectorize inject panics thing. So let me see what they do again. Okay, so this is actually just inside of the session data, which is testing vectorize inject panics indicates whether random panics are injected into the vectorized flow execution. Goal of such behavior is making. Yeah, the thing is that we definitely don't need it to be serialized to remote nodes in this case because the optimizing happens just on a single node. So I want to say that, anyway, I'll say set testing, optimizer, perturb costs. Make this method here. Stick it next to this guy. I'm going to say m dot, they're like a local data, m dot data dot local only session data dot testing optimizer perturb costs is equal to f. And so then here we actually, I think this is actually a protobuf. So we need to go ahead and edit that protobuf and rebuild. So local session data, proto. So we'll go ahead and add one to the bottom here. Consider whether a session parameter you're adding needs to be propagated to the remote nodes. Indeed, we have considered that and we don't need to do it. So we're just gonna say float64, float, optimizer, perturb, or testing, optimizer, perturb, costs is equal to 62. So we'll add a comment. Testing, optimizer, perturb, costs is non-zero. See you later. Thank you for the good luck. Thanks for stopping by and for the sub. Is non-zero when the optimizer should randomly perturb costs. Or I guess it's really when the coster randomly perturb costs by the given fraction. This should only be used in test scenarios and is very much a non-production setting. Okay, so given that, let's go ahead and rebuild here. Not used F as float 32 in assignment. Does this thing make a float 32? Is that what I'm seeing? How do I make a float 64? Do I just say float 64 here? I feel like I tried that and oh, do I just say double? Yeah, okay, I say double. That was my issue. I forgot there's that like double thing. I'm such a Go guy. Don't say double anymore. Okay. Very cool. So now that we've got this, we can, this set testing optimizer perturb cost thing is working fine. And then coming back to our session setting, we can go ahead and actually use it. So we'll say format float as Postgres setting, val context at session data dot local only session data dot testing optimizer perturb costs. What's up, by James? It's not a new mic. I've had this for maybe, I feel like almost a year, but I definitely didn't always have it. I used to have a Blue Yeti. I upgraded to the, what is this called? The Electro Voice RE20 broadcast microphone. Very fancy stuff. I got one from a friend of mine who was selling it, actually. He had, for some reason, his company a long time ago, like had extras and they gave him one and it was just sort of sitting in his basement for 10 years and he sold me one at a discount. That's the story of that. Well, thank you. Okay, so global default is going to be 0, return 0, but it's got to be a string for some reason. So it's going to be format float as Postgres setting 0. Okay, so simple enough. The next step is when we actually go to use. There's also this thing called disable optimizer rule probability. And I'm wondering whether we want to be looking at that, using that thing as well. Do we ever use that? So this is set by logic tests, but we never use it. So I find that slightly odd as well. Honestly, maybe we should just use both of them. Anyway, we can kind of deal with this later. We can just add another session setting for this, I guess. Okay. All right. Anyway, ignore that for now. So the next step is going to just be plumbing all of this stuff through. It shouldn't be so complicated, right? It should really just be saying something like here. No. Where are we? Here. So basically we're going to say something like, I think we basically, we want to be a little bit tricky. We want to say perturbation or cost per cost perturbation. You know what? Maybe the better thing to do would be actually just to delete this altogether and replace it with the session setting one. So like eval context dot session data dot local only session data dot testing optimizer cost perturb costs. And this probably needs to be called cost perturbation at this point rather than perturb costs. Testing optimizer cost perturbation. And then we'll want to change that in the protobuf as well. Cost perturbation. Perturbation. And then we can just go ahead and delete the other one, I feel like. Maybe we should just copy. Is used to randomly perturb the estimated cost. Right? So here we're going to just say eval context dot session data dot local only session data dot testing optimizer cost perturbation is equal to. So that's one of them. Then the last one was here. And here it's the same thing. I think we should be able to somehow set the session setting somewhere. Right, there's got to be a place where we do a bunch of session settings, right? Do we ever do it? Do we do it manually, or we would just sort of set it later? I guess what we can do is do it in a statement. Streaming's tiring but fun. Maybe we just want both, honestly. I don't know. We'll keep both. We'll keep both, and then when we actually go to do this, we're just gonna we'll construct a little variable. We're gonna say perturbation is equal to eval context dot testing knobs dot optimizer cost perturbation. If then we can say if eval context dot session data dot local only session data dot testing blah 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 is not equal to 0. We'll say perturbation is equal to this thing. We can grab this session perturbation. Alrighty, but it's a bunch of plumbing, just a bunch of plumbing, but it's fine. We're getting there. Okay, then we initialize our coster with this thing, and then we're good to go. So I think at this point we actually should be able to say make build short, and we'll have a binary that can do this stuff. So I'm hoping once this is done, we'll be able to turn on the perturbation machine, run a query, explain a query, and then run the explain again, and it should be different every time. That's kind of my hope for all of this. So we're gonna run cockroach demo. Let's make a table. well, maybe as generate series 1 through 1000, g of g. We'll say select g plus 1 from. Okay, so now we've got a little table select star from a table with 1,000, 10,000 rows in it. And let's maybe make an example where we could say select star from A where A is greater than 9,000. And we're going to explain this. So this should use a scan. It uses a tight scan. It doesn't evaluate this predicate because this index exists and we can just jump right to the right spot in the index. But hopefully if we say set testing optimizer perturb cost is equal to 1.0, which should be the maximum, and then explain this again, it should hopefully give me random results, and it does not. Which I'm wondering, maybe that's just because there's only one possible plan here or something. No, I mean, the filter definitely should be up. Cool. So I guess it's just like very unlikely that this thing actually does get perturbed to be weird because it's such an obvious plan, maybe. But as you can see, at random, we are generating a plan that is weird, which is instead of using the index, which is very, very available for us, we use a scan and a filter, which is very much the wrong thing to do, but it doesn't matter because it gets us the right result. So that's cool. The plan perturber, it works. So then the next step is basically to hook this thing up to our random query generator. And then for every random query, we should run both the query without the cost perturber and then the query with the cost perturber and make sure that the results of the query with and without the cost perturber are identical. And if they're ever not identical, it means that there's a bug. And at that point, what we would do, I guess, is print out the explain. Well, that's going to be sort of tricky. I guess, how are we going to deal with that? It's a little tricky because once we run the query, we won't know the plan that the query was executed with, because the next time that we run the explain, the random perturber will kick in again and we'll get a different output. So we kind of need a way to have it tell us the plan and the query at the same time, which to be honest is a little bit annoying. I would say that that is annoying. We've got explain analyze, which does actually run the query, but I don't think it gives us both the explain and the output, does it? It does not. So what should I do about this? Because it's going to be useless if it just eventually gives us a crash, which presumably will be very rare. And then the crash doesn't tell us what the two plans are. We're going to be completely lost. I am confused about how we should fix this, to be honest. So let's say, for example, we initialize this thing. Maybe we just need to like record it somewhere, basically. We could record it in a log, for example. Well, but the log's gonna be in the wrong place. And the other problem is that even if we record it in a log, it's not gonna help because it's not like there's so many numbers. It's like the coster has a number for every operator that it looks at. So we can't just record the number. We need to record the entire plan so that it's reproducible. And the other problem is that once we actually print out the plan, it's not like you can easily just tell the optimizer to use that plan. It's sort of challenging to do that. So what do we do about this? It does not output the query results in the resulting zip, no. That would be interesting, but it doesn't do that. I mean, I guess to start with, we could at least just log all the plans. And that should be good enough, I guess. I don't really feel good about it, though. What we really need is like a way that, okay, so maybe it's kind of like, maybe what it is that you need the RNG that's used to generate the random plan to be completely deterministic. Because then what you can do is always initialize that RNG, or you print out the seed of that RNG when you initialize it. And then I think it should be, you just maybe you just like dump the seed when you're doing it into the log, and then you can initialize it with the right seed, and then hopefully it'll kind of like, yeah, do the right thing. I don't know. Lithium, wow. Thank you for the 1,000 bits and for the 16 months. Really appreciate it. Welcome back. Hello. Hope you're having a great Friday. I missed you, bud. Mo money, mo money. Is that what they say? Somehow that doesn't really strike me as the phrase that they're actually usually saying. I don't know what it is. It just is. It's not sounding quite right to me. Don't remember why. I think I'm gonna go down this RNG route though, because at least that way like something good will come out of this. Whereas without it, we're gonna be lost. So what am I gonna do? I'm going to go to where we initialize this coster thing over here in init. And here's what I'll say. I'll say, right, so when we run this thing, what kind of RNG do we use? We don't even use a seeded random. So that's a problem. What we need to do is use a seeded random. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a seed, I guess. We're gonna add an RNG at the very least. So we're gonna add an RNG, which is a ran.rand. Is that what we store? Source of random numbers. I think we store a pointer to it probably. And what we're gonna say if perturbation is not equal to 0, we're going to say c.rng is equal to randutil dot new pseudorand. What does this do? Returns an instance of math rand seeded from the environment variable random seed. If that variable is not set, it's used to generate a seed. Okay, so I think this is kind of what we want to do. And this thing gives us back what? A rand and an int? Oh, it gives us back the seed. So we're going to ignore this seed. Initialize an RNG from cockroach random seed if it's set, so that we can reproduce any random plans that are generated by printing out, by setting the correct seed. And I guess we actually do need to return the seed here, don't we? Because the whole point is that we want to know what the seed is. So we're going to say seed, then we're going to say what is this? This seed is an int64. We're going to say log.infof ctx, because we don't have a context here. Initializing coster with seed. I guess it's initializing perturbing coster with seed. D and perturbation F seed perturbation. And I think this should be good enough. Hopefully. You have a dactyl keyboard. That's cool. I hear those dactyls are kind of next level, huh? Next level. They're all shaped, right? Okay. So coming back over here, what we'll do. Okay, so that's like one part of this whole thing. The next part of this thing is that we actually need to create our test. Now that we've got this logging going. And our test, we have this thing called tlp.go, and I think what we're gonna do is make a new sort of top level test runner guy called, I'll call this, what am I gonna call it? It's concave, but not ergonomic. If it's not ergonomic, what was the, oops, oh no. What did I open? Okay, no problem. Nobody saw anything weird. What was I gonna search for? All right, so no rec. So no rec is kind of the thing that we were taking inspiration from here. And detecting optimization bugs in database engines versus non-optimizing reference engine construction. So this isn't exactly non-optimizing reference engine. It's just random cost. So maybe I'll just call it random cost test or something, or I want a catchy name. I guess there is no catchy name for now. That's all right. We'll just make it called rand cost tester. Rand cost compare, rand cost. I don't know. What do you guys think I should call this thing? Costing fuzzer? Cost fuzzer? Let's call it cost fuzzer for now, even though that makes like very little. Rando costo testo? Oh, not just ergonomic, I see. What's up, Robin? What is up, Robin? Okay, so let's go ahead and basically copy this entire thing. Costco. I like that. Register cost fuzzer. So the name is going to be cost fuzzer. These things typically tend to be camel cased or what? Oh, they're slash delimited thingies. We'll just call it cost fuzzer. So it's owned by SQL queries. Its time out is 1 hour. Its run is going to be run cost fuzzer. Cost fuzzer. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Give me a sec. Hey, I'm back. Back from my journey. Okay, so we're gonna run this cost fuzzer. Run 10-minute iterations of TLP in a loop. Okay. You know what? To be honest, what if we just started with just a regular old test? Wouldn't that be better? Maybe we'll do that. It's kind of something that I wanted for TLP, and I have it actually just sitting here untracked. Maybe I should resurrect that idea. So let's go ahead and try it like this first, actually. So we're gonna make honestly, if we do it like this, maybe we wouldn't even have to do that whole dance with the session variables, but I'll have to think about that. So cost fuzzer. We're gonna make another file called the same thing. We'll just do it as a unit test to get things kicked off. Copy this whole setup. Honestly, we could probably abstract some of this stuff away, but whatever. Okay, so then basically what we're gonna say, we're gonna have a loop, run 1,000 mutations first so that the tables have rows, run a mutation for the 10th of the iterations after to continually change the state of the database. Seems nice. Keep that as well. Okay, so then what we do is we have to get a random query, which we can do with smither.generate random SQL string. Do we ever test randomly generated queries against other databases to see if it's return the same results? Yeah, we do have a mode. We do have a test that does that. That's called test compare Postgres or something. The trouble with tests like that is that many SQL engines, ours not as an exception, is they all have like subtle differences in their semantics and in their accepted kind of grammar, so to speak. So you have to either disable stuff that aren't supported by both or kind of hack it into place, and that can be irritating. And it's quite hard to like test the full swath of possibilities using that method. It's definitely valuable though, and we do use it. I just feel like it's kind of limited. We've gotten, this TLP thing that I was talking about up front, we've gotten a lot of value out of that. SQLsmith, we got a lot of value. SQLsmith is basically just a random query generator fuzzer machine, and that thing is good. It mostly just detects crashes though, and we've mostly exhausted the crashes at this point. We've been running SQLsmith for several years, and it doesn't really find crashes anymore. And so TLP is much more powerful because it actually finds correctness issues. And we sometimes find those via TLP. That's always a victory if we can, do that ahead of people. So we're gonna make a random SQL string. Statement is equal to this. We're gonna basically then, So the most important thing though is that we have to kind of swap this session variable back and forth. So I guess what we say is something like, generate a statement. First, run the statement without cost perturbation. Results is equal to con.query context. What do we do in the other one? We just say con.query. We ignore errors. We convert it to a matrix, and then we diff it. So we'll keep that as well. So rows is equal to con.query statement. There are no args. Why would there be args here? Because TLP actually gives us back args. We don't have args in this case. So we're just going to run like this. For rows.close. We convert our rows to a string matrix. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other version. And the way that that's going to work in this case, I don't think we actually want to defer rows.close, right? Doesn't this consume the entire... result set. So we should really do it right here. So we could kind of do it like this. If we really wanted to use defer. Although there's a continue, so I guess it's not really possible. Whatever. Well, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to say con.exec set optimizer, testing optimizer, cost perturbation is equal to 1.0. What's up, Travua? It's good to see you. So here we can just say t.fatalf error failed to perturb costs. Okay. And then we're going to run the same thing again. Like this. Then run the query. Cost perturbation. You're a senior Go developer. Congrats, man. That is awesome. That is awesome. Big congrats. Why is this not resolving as a reference? Is it because... Would prior contributions to CockroachDB be very helpful in getting a job at Cockroach Labs? I would say in general, yes. In general, that is a big signal to us. It's definitely not a requirement, and it's definitely not a guarantee, but it's happened before. It's happened before. You wouldn't be the first large data bank watching CockroachDB contribution making person to make it through the hiring pipeline if you did that. And hopefully not the last. Okay. Don't really totally understand why this... What's up, Rain? I don't really understand why this is an unresolved reference. Can we talk about that? It's a bit weird. Let's just maybe ignore it. Unperturbed and perturbed. Results to be equal. I guess we do have to sort them, or unsorted. Does this sort them? It does sort them. Okay, so we're good. We're good there. So we're gonna say unperturbed rows, perturbed rows. Ooh, except I guess here we need to be printing out like that whole seed business, which is kind of painful, huh? It'll be there in the log, sort of. But this is kind of the grossest part of all of this, I would say. The fact that it's hard to get out the actual plan. I suppose what we could do at this point is say, oh yeah, maybe there's some idea. Maybe basically what we should do is forget the idea that we can actually run this as a workload and instead just kind of do it in memory, and that should be good enough. And in that case, we can do all sorts of crazy junk, like reach inside of the connection and poke at it, maybe. like we have this con. What is a con? No, I guess we don't have enough, do we? It's just no, this is sort of an outer wrapper as well. We'd really need a handle into the session, which maybe we don't really have. Yeah, I guess we don't really have that. Well, anyway, that's okay. We'll just print out the differences for now. So instead of printing out SQL, we'll just print out the actual result like this. SS, we'll get rid of the with args. We'll get rid of this. We'll just kind of put unperturbed, perturbed, and then call it a day. And this will need to be improved for sure. But just as a proof of concept, I don't understand why this wouldn't be resolving because it's literally sitting right here. Why is that? Or is it because it's a test package? I guess that's the issue. So we'll need to make this unsorted matrix diff thing into a little utility. And I think we've defined it somewhere else too, unsorted matrices diff. It's also living in this tests TLP guy. And let's actually just delete all of this. We don't really want or need this guy anymore. I think what we do want to do is pull this thing out into some kind of utility. Maybe we can put it inside of this package, I guess. Unsorted matrices diff.go. We'll just go ahead and make a whole file for this little simple function here and then reuse it. Sorted matrices diff. And we'll have to put a doc string here. So unsorted matrices diff returns a diff of the two input string matrices. If the inputs do not have to be in the same sorted order to be compared as equal. And then I guess this just returns empty. If the input matrices are identical, the result is the empty string. You gave CockroachDB as the example of a CP database. Awesome, that is cool. What's up, Rail? Okay, so now that we've got this thing pulled out into a utility, we're a bit happier and we can move on with our lives a little bit. Let's delete this file, which probably is like not possible from this interface. So we'll just go over here and we'll say,
how are you gonna do that? By guessing.
Just delete this guy. Okay, so that all being said, we're getting a bit closer. We have our cost fuzzer machine thingy, and maybe we can just go ahead and run this, except why is it not? Oh, because it has to be a test file, doesn't it? So this, we've got to rename this, right? Open, how do I do this? It's been so long. It's been 2 entire weeks since I've used this program and I don't remember how to do it. Okay, we cannot rename things from that program. It doesn't matter. We'll just do it by hand. So we'll say move this guy to this guy test. Cost fuzzer test. Very cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it. We'll see what happens. Make package equals package SQL tests equal, this has to be make test. Gosh, I don't remember how to do anything. Test cost fuzzer. Refactor move. But does that actually change the file name? I guess it probably does. I don't know. I'll look into that. So let's see. I guess what I would expect that this will do is, I don't know. Oh, well, first I also forgot to reset the cost perturber at the end of the test. So we've got to do that. It shouldn't really matter. Like the test should sort of still work with or without that problem, but let's just do it anyway. Let's just do it at the top of the iteration, I guess. So let's do it kind of up here, just to make sure that we're always in a reset state at the top of the test, even if we continue early or whatever. Failed to perturb costs, unrecognized configuration parameter, testing optimizer cost perturbation. Okay, so that's a obvious fail. I guess I probably didn't testing. What did I call the stupid thing again? Testing optimizer cost perturbation. I thought I called it that. Did I not? Maybe I didn't change the name of it in vars.go. Okay, that's the issue. So this has to be called testing optimizer cost perturbation. Testing optimizer cost perturbation. Okay, we'll try again. So it takes a while to recompile because I've changed something in SQL vars.go, which is depended on by quite a few packages, I think. Still kind of mixed about whether this should even be a session setting, but I think it's probably the easiest way to go. Seed business is making things difficult, to be honest, but we'll figure something out around that. Somehow. Somehow. Yay. Okay, it seems to have worked. That's kind of weird. So let's try to make some logs happen. Test flags equals -v first of all. Or is it test.v? I forget how anything works. Okay, so this is good. Initializing perturbing coster with seed blah and perturbation blah. So I do think that that means that good things are happening. It's weird that it would be happening in here. I don't like that. But I think in general, this is a good thing. Lots of memory budget exceeded errors. It would be nice if it printed out the sequel, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of the next step, right? That way we could see. Let's try to improve the look of this test a little bit. So we're gonna say something like, yeah, maybe the way to do this is actually to say, we're gonna perturb the cost, but then we're also gonna initialize the seed. Testing optimizer cost perturbation blah. Testing optimizer seed is equal to blah. And then we can fix the seed, and then it'll be the same every time. Then we can use explain. Would that be good? Would that be good? I feel like that would be good, right? I don't know. I'm mixed. I think it would be good. Anyway, let's at least print out the SQL that we're generating here for now. So we're gonna say t.log running SQL blah statement. Let's see if that at least does something good. Since when did we? What is all this making all business? It didn't used to do all this stuff. Maybe this is my warning that I need to be migrating to dev. So something exploded. That's exciting. What would the explosion have been about? Stack Overflow. Well, this is good. This is meaning it's saying that we figured something out good already. And I wonder if I can reliably reproduce this. Wouldn't that be cool? I think what I'll do for now is at least record this into a little file somewhere so that I don't lose track of it. So it's sort of a transformation Stack Overflow, which is a common thing that we've seen. Stack Overflow. So we'll say, basically say, how are we gonna do this? So here's the statement. Do I ever feel like some of the code I wrote is utter trash? Trash? Yeah, I would say that I feel like the code that I read is utter trash all the time. It happens. Code is it can be trash for sure. It happens. I wouldn't feel too bad about it. I think it happens to everybody. Okay, so then we just need to get this table definition as well to make sure that this is remotely reproducible. Which it may, oh no. Well, there's no, my scroll back doesn't go far enough back. Does it go back far enough in screen? It does not. Okay, well that's unfortunate, but it's okay. This is just the beginning. If it found a crash this quickly, presumably it'll find another crash quickly again. Let's run again. Let's just keep running it and see what it does. Maybe we'll never get that crash again, but I have a feeling we'll get it again. Do you guys know what it's seizure inducing? Sorry. Do you guys know what galeffis are, by the way? Do you know what galeffis are? It's this like sparkly Italian seltzer machine creator thing, but it's like canned seltzer essentially. but I got some of them for fun, and they're actually pretty good. And they're actually pretty good to just eat. Okay, this is what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna get a glass of water, and I'm gonna put some Galeffies into it, so you guys can understand what the heck I'm even talking about. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the Galeffi. It's like, yeah, it's essentially like Italian, it's like old person Italian emergency. Wait, is this flipped? Shit, it's flipped. Bring. Galeffi. Effervescente. Natural lemon flavor. Okay, so here's my glass of water. Here's my glass of water. Here's my Galeffi. I think, I don't know how awesome it is, to be honest, Rain. It's like, I got it randomly at like a specialty shop, and I wouldn't say that they're good necessarily. It's kind of just like, I don't know. It's like, okay, so you take some Galeffi, and you pour them into your water, and you hopefully do not overflow your water all over your keyboard because these things are fizzy. So I'm just gonna do this and I'll stand back. Okay, it wasn't as dramatic as I was expecting. Recently I did one and it exploded everywhere. So I guess I used more moderation this time. See you later, Matt. Thanks for stopping in and thanks for the raid. And so now basically I've got some lemon seltzer. What do you guys think? Pretty sweet, huh? Pretty sweet. Delicious lemon. It tastes a little sweet. It tastes not too sweet. It tastes a little lemony, I would say. Is it sweet? Okay, so the true test of sweetness is if you take one, then you eat it. And it's kind of like a sour pop rock. Anyway, yeah, that was it's a pop rock, basically a pop rock. Okay, so unfortunately it didn't actually repro that thing, but I'm feeling like this could be good in general, as long as we can figure out this seeding problem. As long as we can figure out the seeding problem, and I'm not totally convinced that it's gonna be so easy. I mean, there's a couple problems. There's a seeding problem, and there's also like the initial conditions problem. Which I guess we can get around. I think the way to do this is to make another session setting. So let's just go ahead and do that, because otherwise it's going to be impossible. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to have a cost perturbation. Maybe what we should actually do, instead of doing this whole perturbation business, why don't we just make it a testing optimizer cost random seed? Testing optimizer random cost seed. How about that as a concept? And then what we do, I think I like this a bit better, because it doesn't matter to vary the perturbation. It's sort of like pointless. The better thing to be doing would be to vary the seed, random cost seed. And if it's non-zero, we'll use it as the random seed. Then the test can control the random seed, and then you can also reuse that random seed to, yeah, get the thing back. What's up, Nami? So we're gonna give a random seed. This is now going to be an int instead of a float. Do we have an int64 somewhere? looks like this. This is going to be a make int get string val fun parse int. Why not use micro time as random seed? The reason is that I've got to be able to control the seed. That's kind of what's painful about this whole thing, is that we're communicating with the database via a test. And the test has to be able to say, okay, I'm going to set the seed to something in particular and then reuse that seed later so that I can hold fixed the randomness, so that I can get the explain for a particular thing that might have failed. That's what we were sort of struggling with, the fact that unless you have a controllable seed from the test, you're sort of out to sea because, yeah, there's a lot of hard to reconstruct the actual state that you used. So the base is going to be 10 and the bit size is going to be 64. Is that what that's supposed to look like? And this guy, we're going to call this set testing optimizer random cost seed. Set testing optimizer random cost. Testing optimizer random cost seed. All right. And then in our local only session data proto, we've got to do the same thing. Set cost testing optimizer random cost seed. Testing optimizer random cost seed is non-zero when the coster should randomly perturb costs with an RNG seeded to the given integer. This should only be used in test scenarios. This is very much a non-production setting. Okay. So with that out of the way, let's come back. This is going to be set to I. Let's make this called I. This needs to take a, let's just call it val int64 val. This of course needs to be int64, which means we need to also change the proto, which we were just looking at, but we forgot to change the data type. Local only session data proto int64. All right. And this is going to be format int. Do I not need to do that? So for that, I just say strcon.formatInt. So let's say strcon.formatInt like this. And it takes a base, because of course it does. strcon.formatInt 010. All right. Okay, so with that out of the way, what we can do now is go ahead and go back to where this thing is used inside of opt tester. And we need to revert what this was to how it was before. And so this is what we need to change. Basically, we need to say, we'll set this perturbation guy. And we also need to be able to pass in the random seed to this init function, I guess, which seems fine. What does this do? Recompute cost. Recomputes the cost of each expression in the lowest cost tree. I don't quite get what this is for, but we'll probably find out. So we need to change this to include a seed. That's the point. Is there, we have this randutil thing. Do we? Set the seed or something? Because I think that there's something that like, yeah, I guess we just reseed it with our seed. And then I think we can actually get rid of this altogether. Get rid of this. So then we're going to say if perturbation is not equal to 0, or seed is not equal to 0, then we say if perturbation is equal to 0, set the perturbation to be 1.0. If we've been initialized with a random seed, but not an explicit perturbation value, use the max perturbation. This is used for tests that set the seed with testing optimizer random or cost random seed or whatever, random cost seed. All right. So in that case, what we can now do is what? We just have to pass in, get rid of this altogether. Can inline this. And then pass in eval context dot session data dot local only session data dot testing optimizer random cost seed. Alrighty. I think that this is looking a bit better, except we now need to just quickly go ahead and adjust the last non-callers to this thing, 0 seed. Alrighty. Okay. Oakley dokley. At this point, maybe we can run, except we need to also adjust our test, don't we? So we need to go back to our cost fuzzer. What is wrong with this though? Oh, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just that the protobuf is recompiling. So we have to go to cost fuzzer test. And this is now going to be something slightly different. It's going to, instead of saying testing optimizer cost perturbation, it's going to be testing optimizer random cost seed. And this is going to be set to not 1.0, but something else. So we're actually going to, can I use an arg for this? I bet I can. And then pass in a seed, which is going to be a random seed that we generated here. So seed is equal to be rng.int64, un64. Actually want an int64 though. int63. That's always weird. Weird that it says that and not just int64. Okay, so then we pass in the seed, and then we reset it to 0 back up here, except this has to be testing optimizer random cost seed is equal to 0. This probably failed because of that session setting that doesn't exist anymore, right? Anyway, not important. So then what we can actually do, it's very neat, is we can actually print the plans. So we have a mismatch in the perturbed versus non-perturbed query outputs. Output the real plan and the perturbed plan along with the seed so that the perturbed query is reproducible. So we're basically going to say, first we're going to print out the seed. We're going to say seed. Actually, why don't we just print out the actual name of the session so that people aren't confused. We'll say testing optimizer. This is getting to be a little bit gross. Let's make this a backtick string so that we don't have to explicitly encode the new lines. So we're going to say cockroach, or what is it called? Testing optimizer random cost seed is equal to D. And we're going to say, should we print out the explain? Yeah, wait, why not? Like non-perturbed explain S, perturbed explain S, and then the diff will go up here. And then down here will be the perturbed rows and the unperturbed rows. So perturbed rows, unperturbed rows, perturbed rows. Something like this. So the first thing is going to be our diff. The second thing is going to be our seed. The third thing is going to be our explain. So unperturbed explain, perturbed explain. We need to actually calculate these guys. So I guess to do this, the first thing that we do is say, SQL utils dot. Can I just like get a giant string from these rows? Do we not have like a thing for that? Utils. Rows to string matrix. Matrix to string. Maybe I should use this, matrix to string. Oh, query string. I can use that. Okay, cool. SQL runner. Yeah. No, I should include these things. I'm being lazy. I was almost so lazy that I was like, you know what, this is not worth it. But it's gonna be worth it. We'll just power through. We're gonna say SQL utils dot query. Is there no dot make SQL runner? We're gonna pass in our con. What's up, M. Vargas? I'm glad you found it insightful and helpful. That's one of the ones that I definitely want to be rewriting. I do still have it, but I don't use it for the camera. I'm using an Elgato, whatever it's called, the Camlink, which is a lot better. I do owe people a refreshed setup blog post because a lot of things have changed. But I haven't gotten around to it just yet. It's really quite different. It's very different at this point, but I'll do that one of these days. So we got a runner. We're gonna say runner.queryString t explain plus query. It's not called query. It's called statement maybe. Statement. And so this is going to be our perturbed explain. In our unperturbed explain, we're going to say runner dot exec t set testing optimizer random cost seed is equal to 0. Then we're going to run again. Then we're good. Okay. I think that this is actually in better shape now. So let's go ahead and rerun this test altogether and see what it does, if anything. Okay, it says failed to perturb costs. It requires an integer value. That is true. All right, I need to actually set it to something. Wait, I thought I was setting it to an integer value. What did I set it to? A non-negative pseudo-random 63-bit integer is an N64. Why does this not work? Does this not? Okay, C SQL, C demo. Can I not say set transaction rows written log? Can I not do this? Prepare X as execute X of this. Expected it to have type string, but it has type int. Oh, I guess I need to set this to be a string then. That's goofy. Strconv dot I to A seed. That is extraordinarily pointless, but what are you gonna do? Such is life. Try again. I'm actually streaming from a PC now, so that's one of the big changes. Actually, I think that there's like a specs or a PC thing somewhere. Do I not have that? I thought I had that. Maybe I don't have that. Oh, there it goes. So I did actually buy a PC, and that's what I stream from now. I do think that M1s and OBS, I don't know if they go together just yet. So you might want to look into that before you... Yeah. Parameter requires an integer value. Okay. So that was not what I was supposed to do? Let's try this one more time, see what we get. Requires an integer. I'm literally passing an integer value. What are you talking about? I don't understand. This is such a dumb problem. I use it to code and the stream. Like all of this is on the PC, and I'm using like you're seeing above in the chat. It's WSL2, so it's a Linuxy thing. This is running inside of Linux. Yeah, I'm in Windows, exactly. It is Goland, yeah. No, what's Scoop? Command line installer for Windows. Yeah, I don't actually use like PowerShell or anything. I just use, everything's done in WSL2. That way, I don't know if you've tried WSL2, but it's extremely good. It basically is like native Linux. So I'm a huge fan of that. And without that, I don't think I would be so happy on Windows, honestly. Okay, gotcha. Okay, why is this not working? I don't understand it. I guess I'll just string concatenate it, whatever. Not worth this effort. Okay, so this seems to be working better. And the output is impossible to see again, which is cool. So we're generating complicated queries. They seem to be mostly inserts for some reason. Why would that be? Why are they all mutations? Why are they all mutations? That doesn't make any sense. Run 1,000 mutations first. Run a mutation for the 10th of the iterations after. Have we not run 1,000 queries yet? No, it's supposed to, it's skipping the mutation. So why is it only generating mutations? That's very concerning and confusing. Why would it only be running mutations? How does this thing even work? There's somewhere that sort of gives the probabilities of all of these things, and don't remember. This file was always automatically generated by Jenny? Yeah, so here's make select statement. Okay, here we go. So non-mutating, mutating statements, non-mutating statements. So select is seemingly the same weight as an insert, delete, or update, which feels a little bit weird, doesn't it? Oh, maybe there's a... Is the issue that I'm just using the wrong kind of thing? Smither dot... No, it mainly seems to just have generate. I'm concerned about this. Let's do something to try to understand this a little bit better. So when we print this guy out, why don't we just print out the first like few words of it? So we're gonna print out there's no max function. That's so annoying. We'll just hopefully assume that every statement has at least like 5 characters in it. And if not, it'll just crash and it doesn't really matter because it's just a test. It definitely seems like, seems to me, okay, my shell just crashed. That's cool. Seems to me like we're never generating any selects, which is not good at all. And it's actually concerning because I'm wondering whether that's affecting all of the things that are using SQLsmith right now. So what is going on? What is going on here? So we run make statement. Statement sampler.next. That's what it does. Statement sampler is constructed how? New weighted statement sampler. Pass in statement weights. And statement weights does contain all statements. And all statements contains mutating statements and non-mutating statements. It's just that the weights are very off, I guess, because it's the generic weight type. Relative frequency of the values of weights. It's just that select is so rare because there's inserts, updates, and deletes. It's like, well, we'd expect that this should be generated at least like a fifth of the time, right? So 10 plus 10 plus 10 is 30, plus 8. Here's another 10, here's 40, 44. So it's 10 out of 44, or 10 out of 54, which I guess is a fifth. But we're seeing zero actual selects here, right? We're mostly seeing inserts. And you know what's very suspicious is that insert's also the first. I wonder if this thing is just totally broken. What if this thing is just totally broken? Weighted statement sampler. Okay, so what does it do? It sums up all the weights. That seems good so far. And then it, for each weight and weight, it counts up. Okay, so it makes n samples and sticks them in this big array. So that seems reasonable so far, right? It makes 10 instances of make whatever it is. And it says post plus plus. And then it gives me back the samples. And so then when we actually use the statement sampler, oh, I think I know what the problem is. Is it that this smither has been created with mutations only? Okay, well, there's my problem. So I think what I need to do is say mutating smither. And I need to say selecting smither. I'll just call this one smither. SQL Smith dot new smither con RNG SQL Smith dot disable mutations. Okay, so then coming down over here, we just say smither.generate. Yeah. Okay, let's try again. Hopefully this should be all selects now. Oops, all mutations. Wow. So I bet what happened here is that somebody used like a time function, which of course is going to be different when you run it twice. So that I don't think that really counted either. So let's go back and enhance this to not just print out the entire statement so we can actually see what we're looking at here. Although I guess we don't need to do that. We can just include the statement at the end when we print out the results. So we'll say SQL like this, then we'll add, so it's diff statement seed like this. Okay, we'll try again. Whatever this is doing, it's definitely finding some good stuff. So I'm happy about it. Of course, we don't have the statement again. Okay, we need to be doing better here. We need to be doing better here for sure. Let's just print out the whole statement. It's just going to make it hard to read. That's just life. Okay, so this is looking a bit better. Running SQL with, and it uses current time. And of course, current time is going, we need to ban current time from this because it's going to be different. So we'll ignore that one and continue on. We're gonna have to think about how to ban stuff like current time in a second. This is probably another current time. It is another current time. Maybe I need to think about this more quickly because otherwise it's just going to fail with the current time problem every time. Okay, so we've got to ban current time. How are we going to do that exactly? How are we going to do that exactly? So if we go to generate scalar or generate expert, make scalar context. Let's try to figure out how this guy works exactly. So it's a make func, and the functions are, okay, so we already ban PG sleep. So I feel like maybe we should just ban all of these current time ones in a particular mode, possibly. I think that would be good. I think for now, let's just hack it in, and we'll figure out a way to put it in. Well, I'm gonna have to fix this sooner or later, so maybe I'll just get it right the first time. So let's see. When we say no mutations, what does it actually do? Disable mutations. Simple option. Disable mutations. This guy. What is a simple option? It's a smither option. How do I... Oh, I see. An option is actually a function. Oh, and I can take many. Okay, so cool. Let me make a new option to disable time functions. Disable time funcs causes Smither to not emit statements that contain built-ins that could return. I mean, honestly, it has to be not just time built-ins, but anything that isn't exactly the same across runs. So like random is not allowed either, for example. So it's sort of like disable volatile funcs. Volatile funcs. I think volatile is the word we use for this, right? Select star from PG func or whatever. PG proc. Limit 1. There's something called pro volatile. Select star from PG proc where pro volatile equals true. Okay, so pro volatile is actually like a weird type, I guess. So it could either be I or V. So yeah, these are good ones to avoid, I suppose. Gotta avoid all of these babies, which is pretty annoying, honestly. Built-ins, volatile built-ins. Okay, built-ins that don't always return the same result. Okay. So then we gotta say s.disable volatile funcs is equal to true. All right. Now, how the heck are we gonna do this exactly? I don't know. Where do we read in make func? Yeah, where do we initialize this big list of functions? We literally read them from this thing. Oh, that's actually a good thing because then we can just skip the ones that we don't like. So if we're gonna say if this is, what the heck kind of crazy thing is this? It's a function that takes nothing and returns this big map. Why do we do it like this? And not just return. Why don't we just have this thing take a smither? Cannot tell that non-function. It's a type map, but I literally just made this into a function. I don't get it. Do I need to surround this like so? I don't know why this is all weird. Oh, we execute it. I see. Okay. Well, that makes things even more annoying. Why is it done this way exactly? Instead of doing it like this, let's go ahead and initial, because we're just initializing it. Oh, maybe we need to do it at smither initialization time. Maybe that's the way to do it. So we'll say, copy this, come over here. We'll say functions is a map, this whole stuff like this. And then at initialization time, we'll actually set it. We'll do it right here. We're gonna say functions is equal to functions, and then we need to figure out how to actually define this functions guy. Let's grab this guy. Well, instead of just making it like this, we'll actually make it a func. So we'll say func functions s smither like this, and it's going to return a map. All right. So then we get to say if s dot skip if dot s dot disable volatile funcs, then if def dot function properties dot, where is the freaking volatility? Where is the volatility? It's got to be in here somewhere. Private, nullable, disequal blocklist class. It's not a class. Available category, return labels, ambiguous, has sequence. Where is the volatility defined? I don't understand that. Volatile. Volatility. Tree.volatility. And this is set where? How do I get the volatility for a function? Built-ins. Make built-in. So it's actually the overload itself contains the volatility. Okay, that's extra annoying for me for sure. It gives me back an overload that contains a volatility. Okay. Okay, that's actually fine. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna disable all. We'll say for I in range def dot definition. Definitely a bit annoying, to be honest. What do we do in PG catalog when we do this volatility business? Built-in dot volatility. What do you mean? Okay, so it's just like sitting here somehow? For built-in and range overloads. Overloads is built-in dot get built-in property names. And this thing is okay, I don't understand. There's some different data types here and they're getting switched around and I don't quite understand how to get them out. This is an overload impl. An overload impl is always an overload. Okay, I just need to typecast it. It's no big deal. Okay. Okay. So for I in range, for def and range definitions, overload is equal to def dot tree dot overload. Then we're going to say if overload dot volatility is equal to volatility volatile. We also have to we also have to look out for volatility stable. Guess we can do switch overload dot volatility case tree dot volatility stable tree dot volatility volatile. We're just gonna say volatile is equal to true. Var volatile bool. We break. So this break is coming out of the switch. That's so gross. Whatever. We'll just loop through the whole thing. It doesn't actually matter. So then we're gonna say continue. If if volatile, continue. And this is not actually even volatile anymore. It's actually, we need to be changing this to something like non-immutable. Disable non-immutable funcs. Disable non-immutable funcs. Okay, so now that we've done this, it was very painful, but it was worth it. We actually have to call functions of S. We've actually got to say something like s.functions is equal to functions of S. All right, then at long last, we can go over here, we disable mutations, and we also SQLsmith.disable non-immutable funcs. Hooray! We managed to do something. Let's gonna run the test again now. It immediately exploded because I didn't do something right. All right, so this has to say s.functions. No problem, very simple fix. Okay, so what do we have now? We have, so UUID generate v4 is definitely not the kind of thing that we want to be allowing. So why did it get allowed? Considering that it's definitely UUID immutable, or what is it? What's it called? UUID generate v4. This should definitely not be allowed by our, thing. So this is a volatile function. So why was it allowed? Why was this allowed? Don't understand that. Maybe we should just call this disable impure funcs. That's simpler. Disable impure funcs. Okay, so the only thing that's confusing is like I don't know why it's still giving me these guys. So disable impure funcs, new smither. This says set the functions to be the functions of S. Functions of S. We create a new map. We go through all the fun defs and we skip over the ones that are non-immutable. So let's call this impure again, make things clear. So if it's this, then we say for each of the definitions in the definitions, cast to overload. If it's volatile stable or volatile, we set it to be impure and then we leave. So why is this not working exactly? When is opt evaluated? Well, it should be evaluated as soon as we call it in our cost fuzzer test. So we make a new smither. Oh, does this actually, oh no. So this actually, we run this and it gives me back a function that contains the apply function, which I guess is this. I don't know why it's all complicated like that. But we run that. Oh, I see. Very tricky. So this has got to be down here. Thank you, one LAN. That was a good call. Okay, so now we're getting something that's a lot more normal, which is that this thing is actually pointers to overloads. So that's at least a good sign that we're getting to the right part of the code. Okay, so this is good. We're back to a place where we're running this test and it's doing stuff and it's not crashing. We kind of wish it was, because then something would be exciting, but right now we're not surprised because we're not expecting this to have too many bugs at this point. Some of the selects are pretty slow, which is cool. Guess it means that sometimes tables, we're generating very inefficient plans, maybe. That's a good thing. It means we're stressing the system in ways that we don't normally stress it. One thing that I'd like to do is actually print out the explain plans of both the perturbed and non-perturbed one, no matter what, so that I can see whether we're actually doing different planning to make sure the cost perturber is working. I feel like that would be a good thing, just to make sure that it's actually working as expected. Right now it appears to be stalled, so that's cool. Let's just cancel this though for a second and just go to our test and actually do the thing that I wanted to do real quick. So we're gonna grab this stuff. We're just gonna do it always, I guess. And we're going to do it up here. We might as well just keep this runner active the whole time. So we're going to run the explain. First, we'll run the unperturbed explain up here. We'll get rid of this. We'll put the perturbed explain down here after we perturb it, like so. Then let's go ahead and print out the output. So we're going to say format, or we'll say t.log unperturbed, like this, perturbed, like this, unperturbed explain, perturbed explain. Why is these, why is this like this? Why is it giving me back a giant mega string of strings? It just runs rows to string matrix, and I actually want to just stringify it. So maybe I'll just run matrix to stir on all of this stuff. We'll just run matrix to stir. Okay, let's try again. Error executing explain. Index is a partial index, does not contain all the rows needed to execute the query. I'm going to assume that that's a weird fluke. Try it again. Partial index does not contain all the rows needed to execute this query. Why is that all of a sudden happening every time? I wonder. It's because of the explain? What is this about? Do you think it's because this cost perturbation business is getting confused? Why don't we print out... No, I think this is happening on line 75, and this is happening on line 77. So it's literally just the normal explain that's getting confused. Oh, maybe we're just not allowed to run. Maybe we're not allowed to run explains with forced indexes. Is that the issue? Well, now all sorts of stuff is failing, and I don't know why. That's weird. I definitely don't understand that. Definitely feels like the explain itself is the one making a problem here, but I don't know why that would be the case. It literally happens on the first one, right? Oh, no, it doesn't actually happen on the first one. Running with unperturbed, perturbed. Okay, let's take a look. Is there any different? No, they seem to be exactly the same. Local vectorized, root value size subquery. It's kind of boring. And then for some reason unperturbed, local no rows, unperturbed, perturbed. So far we're actually not even seeing any differences in the plans, which is lame. Maybe that's because the schemas aren't complicated enough. Even with something like this, we don't even see any change. Why is that? Oh no, we do. Unperturbed, sort, top K, cross join, scan. Perturbed, top K, cross join, scan. So that's at least good. But we're getting all of these weird failures that I don't quite understand. Okay, let me just try to disable this explain machine to see if it fixes anything, just out of curiosity. So I'll grab all this stuff. Guess I can't really delete it right now. I'll just make it the empty string.
That sing merrily. Put 'em in a box, tie with a ribbon, throw 'em in the deep the moon, gather up the stars and the robins that sing merrily. Put 'em in a box, tie 'em with a ribbon, throw 'em in the deep blue sea.
This is annoying me.
Take the moon, gather up the stars and the robins that sing merrily.
Okay, well, let's just fix this. We'll just hack it. We'll just hack it. We'll just hack it. So we'll get rid of this.
You can take the moon, gather up the stars and the robins that sing merrily. Put 'em in a box, tie 'em with a ribbon, throw 'em in the deep blue sea. You can take the moon, gather up the stars and the robins that sing merrily.
That's so weird. So explain doesn't actually always work, which I find very confusing and bad. I feel like that's like a separate issue. So this failed because what? Did this fail or did it just stop? Expected unperturbed to perturbed results would be equal. Huh? Could this be an actual difference? Or is it some bullshit? Dang it. Of course I didn't save the output properly. The sequel is this. The diff is this. This seems like it could plausibly be a bug, maybe. Here's the seed. Of course, I don't have the explain now. I need to fix that. I need to fix that immediately. Okay. We're not going to print out the explain every time because it doesn't apparently work. And of course, if it just prints out the explain when it fails, it's going to have the same problem. So I'm not actually convinced that that makes any sense either. So I think what I should actually do is try to repro this, maybe? I think the only other issue is that I need to dump the schema, which I don't know if I can do. You can also hope that that wasn't the only time we'll ever see that issue, but considering how quickly it was generated, I have no trouble believing that we'll see it again pretty soon. Is there a way to dump the schema? I know the SQL Smith does have the schema. Smither dot reload schemas? That doesn't seem right. How would I go about reproing this thing? So let's see what this will look like. There's a big with clause. It doesn't touch a table. There's another big with clause. So far, still no tables. This one has the table. Table 1, table 2. We don't know what the types of table 1 and table 2 were. And it's lost to the sands of time because we didn't have enough log output again. So we're kind of sunk. So we've got to definitely fix whatever this problem is. So let's get rid of this unperturbed. I do want to keep that. It's just, I know it's not going to work every time. All right, here's what we're going to do. We'll reopen this guy. We just won't do it every time. We'll do it at the end. So we're going to explain. We're going to explain again, and then one of them we'll just reset the guy. Runner.query string. Runner.exec t Get rid of this. Try again, except we still don't have the stupid schema. I don't understand how I'm supposed to get that. Like ideally it would really be nice if I could just tell the smither to do that, right? I could be like smither dot dump schema something. Let's make this as a function. What is inside of tables? Table name. It doesn't really have like enough. I guess I could just say setup. Ran table setup name. What does this do? Setups. Is this a string? Wrap common table ran setups. Okay, so it actually, so I think this is a string. So I think I can just say perturb explain blah schema, then we can print out the schema. Okay, that's going to be a lot better. So perturb rows, unperturbed rows, and we're going to print out setup. Okay, hopefully this is going to be good to go. We'll see. The only thing is, of course, we do actually, what did I do? Get rid of this. We do actually mutate the tables, which could cause problems, but hopefully it just won't. And we'll be happy. Dang it, it passed. I don't want any passes. I want failures. Give me a failure, please. It's gonna make me so sad if that was the one time we ever saw a failure and I'll never find it again. It's unlikely, because randomized testing, I feel like if it finds a failure, it's gonna find a failure again, but it would be sad if that happened. Plus I'm gonna have to wrap up the stream in a little bit. But I think this is promising. I think without a doubt this is promising, even if we don't find something this second. Error X, dang it, got one parameter, but the statement requires 0. No, that means it did find an issue, but I just like screwed it up so that I wasn't able to actually print it out. Okay. That's so annoying. All right, we'll find it again. We'll definitely find it again. We got this. We got this. Like playing the lottery. No, no more passes. Please give me that failure again. That juicy, juicy failure. I want it. I want it bad. That one was taking too long. We're gonna try it again. No, randomized testing. It giveth and it taketh away. We definitely caught a bug at least twice, and we just were. What's this? Could it be? Okay, let's take a look at this one. String. So the query was some kind of ungodly mega statement. Ooh, the other thing that we have to watch out for is casts between time zones. I don't think that that's happening here, but I forgot about that. Volatile casts are a big problem, but I don't think that that's happening here. I think this could be something real. So the sequel was this. We already saw that. The random seed was this. The non-perturbed explain looked like this. So some giant thing. And the perturbed explain, is it different? Render limit cross-join scan. Render limit cross-join limit cross-join index join scan. Yes, it's different. Oh yes, this is so good. And then the schema was this giant thing. So I think, okay, this could be good, you guys. This could be really good. Let's make a new window, a new screen. Let's just quickly rebuild it. Well, we don't even need to do that. So we're gonna, well, yes we do. Make build short. It's definitely not guaranteed to output results in the same order, and the diff does account for that. We pre-sort all of the output to make sure that it's comparable. Okay, so let's see if we can reproduce this crazy thing. So first we're gonna create our schema. So we're gonna make this cluster setting stuff. We'll create table 4 here. We made our tables. Then we're going to inject our statistics, which I'm not sure if this, yeah, this does probably matter. So let's just, it's a little tedious to do it this way, but that's what we've got right now. So let's close this window. So we're going to paste this statistic here. It's table 1. Sorry, this is very tedious, but I don't have a better way right now. So we're going to grab table 2 and table 3. We're going to grab table 4, and we're going to create our types and our foreign keys, whatever it's doing. Okay. So then we're going to run the original query, which is of course too long to fit in our single screen, which is pretty irritating. So let's make another window for that, I guess, with a little text buffer. So it ends at this order by. Set paste, set paste. All right, and then continues past the order by down here, and there's a bunch of values at the end. This is very gross. There's got to be a better way. Isn't there a way to dump? Actually, wait a minute. I think there's a way to dump a hard copy of the screen session somewhere. Let me try to do that. Control A, question mark. Hard copy is H. So I think I can say Control A H. Screen image written. Okay. So then I should have been writing this to a log file, I guess, but I didn't think of that. Let's quit this. So then I can say vim hardcopy.0. Okay. So then I can come. Oh, it's not the whole thing? What the heck? That's so pointless. I need the entire history. Is there a way to dump the whole history? Write buff? I have no idea how this works. Okay, wait a minute. Does anybody know? Sorry, before I just like go down a stupid rabbit hole. Copy screen history to file. Control A. Oh, hard copy dash H. Or buffer file. Okay, there we go. That was good. So let's just go ahead and trim this now. I'm very sorry for how annoying this is. I'm also rather annoyed by it, to be honest. So we'll delete all this stuff. Okay, so here is our query. Here is our query. Let's just collapse it down into a single line so it'll fit in our paste buffer at least. Okay. Okay, so let's grab this guy. Now we can at least run the query. Cannot parse geometry? Invalid byte? What am I supposed to do about that? Is there invalid characters in this or something? Gosh, this is horrific. Invalid byte U plus 0020 space. Spaces in my hex. There are spaces in the hex, but why? I don't see why that would matter. Oh, why are there spaces in the hex at all? Oh, is it like because there's a space at the end of the screen? No. Okay, that is very dumb. So I guess what we have to do is come back up here and just replace all the spaces down here in the hex section with nothing or something. This is extremely painful and I hate it. So we'll join all this stuff. There's probably like a smarter way of doing what I'm doing, but I don't really know what it would be. Okay, now we're gonna grab this, replace space with nothing, and we'll rejoin everything. We'll try again. Okay. No, okay, this is not good though. This is not good. It returns zero values, and that's because we didn't capture any of the inserts. Shoot. And we need to capture those inserts because that's, I guess, the actual data here. So this is problematic. What we need to do is, like, at the end of this, we need to actually output the entire database state somehow. It's like not good enough to just dump the schema because we need the actual data, apparently. Unfortunately, I also have to run. But I do think that we've made massive progress here, and I'm very excited about this. So it's not a failure. I think it's a big success. We just didn't quite get to where we wanted to get, where we have an actual reproducible thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick commit here. So let's make a new branch. We're going to say cost fuzzer. Let's make a quick commit here. So we're gonna say git restore. We don't want that first one because we got deleted, I believe. So we're gonna say git add 3 through 12. Git DC. Let's take a look at our changes here. We did this functions change thing to do the volatility business. We added the random generator to the coster. We added the seed stuff. We added unsorted matrices diff. We added this protobuf thing. We added our var. That's it. We really didn't add all that much, I guess. Oh, we also, of course, added our cost fuzzer test, which is, we definitely need to include that. So git add 11. Okay, so we're gonna make a quick commit here. So we're gonna say SQL, introduce the random cost fuzzer test. This is a new test that leverages the optimizer cost perturbation test mode and SQLsmith statement generation. The test runs in a loop, creating random statements and running them normally loop by creating a random statement, running it as normal, then running it with perturbed costs and comparing the results. If the results are not identical with and without cost perturbation, there must be a bug. There should be a bug somewhere in either the execution engine, one of the operators doing the wrong thing, or the optimizer, one of the transformation rules doing the wrong thing. Release note, none. Okay, so let's just push this up. It's kind of a work in progress still because we still need to really nail down the way to reproduce these things, but I think it's pretty cool. We should probably make this a work in progress. Well, let's just make it a convert to draft. This is still a draft for a couple of reasons. One, probably this should be a roach test that can run for longer rather than a unit test. Two, it's frustrating trying to reproduce these issues, any issues found. And so far, I believe I've actually found some issues. The reason is that the mutations are crucial to run, but I'm not sure how to, but I haven't yet generated a usable mutation log to send to a reproduction database. Once that's done, I imagine this tool should be fairly easy to use. Run the test, input the mutation log to a fresh database, and then run the statement as normal, and again with the random cost feed that's returned in the output. Okay, I think that's about that. I think I'm feeling pretty good about this. And I think it's time to go ahead and find somebody to raid, just about at the 3-hour mark of the stream. Pretty good. Let's see who's around. Let's see who's on Twitch today. got all sorts of people streaming. We've got Andrew doing Zig. We've got Tej. Tej is just blown up. My God, he's really a famous streamer now, isn't he? And we've got Coding Garden. I wish there was a little thing that said how many times have I raided each person. That would be nice. Oh, I know who we're gonna raid. We'll raid our friend Bduggy. We're gonna raid our friend Bduggy. Science and Tech Twitch is obsessed with Vim. I know. People love Vim. They love the Primogen and they love TJ and they love Vim so much. Maybe I should maybe I should become a Vim streamer to increase my clout. We're gonna raid Bduggy. He raided us recently. Gotta spread the love back, right? So say hello. He works at GitHub, I believe, does some cool stuff. And yeah, well, thanks everyone again for hanging out tonight on Friday. I was off for the last couple weeks, but I'll be back regularly. I'll be back next week on Friday. If not before, but probably not before, but maybe before. I had a good time today. Thanks for all the chats and follows and subscriptions. And I hope you guys have a great night and a great weekend. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.